afternoon, everyone. 2 weeks ago, conservatives across this country sent a resounding message. That message reverberates today in Fort Wayne, as it is my honor and privilege to introduce a candidate for the 2nd District who will represent that district with conservative values, Republican values, and the keen leadership and knowledge as a fellow taxpayer. Representation that is sorely lacking in that district today. This is a man with a new voice, a fresh voice, and a much needed voice, not just for the 2nd District of Fort Wayne, but for the city of Fort Wayne. It is my great pleasure to introduce my friend, Jerome Gaines.
I want to say thanks to Liz for those kind words. First of all, I want to say good afternoon. I want to thank everybody for coming out. I want you to understand and know this today. This really means something to me. It's important, and I appreciate you giving your time and coming to support me today. So, good afternoon and thank you for coming. Before I begin, I would like to acknowledge several people. First of all, I'd like to thank God for blessing me and for giving me the courage to run for office. I'd like to thank my wife, Denise, and my family members that are here today. I want you to know that's important to me, and I appreciate that. Also, I'd like to thank and acknowledge some people that are here that have been with me from the beginning of this, that when I started this and decided that I wanted to do this, they encouraged me. I want to thank Liz Brown for her encouragement, Senator Weiss, Bob Morris, David Keller, Nelson Peters, James McIntosh, Joe Squadrito, Zach Klutz, and obviously my family. And there's other people that aren't here today, Kathy Humbarger, and I just want to appreciate and thank you for all that you've done. 3 years ago, Councilwoman Goldner promised the residents living in the 2nd District good paying jobs, efficient use of our tax dollars, and safer neighborhoods. 3 years later, she has failed to deliver on any of her promises. Instead, she has voted against legislation intended to make government more accountable to the taxpayers. She has helped to increase spending. She has helped increase spending, which has failed to produce any substantial job growth. She tried and failed to introduce legislation that would have done nothing but divide this community, and she voted against legislation meant to keep our neighborhoods safe. Her actions prove that her political and personal views do not reflect the conservative values held by myself, nor the vast majority of residents living in the 2nd District. I was born and raised in this community. I have worked in manufacturing and construction. I've owned a small business. I volunteered as a reserve police officer, and I've been active in several community groups. For the last 27 years, it has been my honor and privilege to serve this community as a battalion chief with the Fort Wayne Fire Department. With this position, while this position has allowed me to see how government operates from within, it has also increased my concern for this community's future. As a government employee, I have seen how poor decision-making and ineffective government policy often places greater financial strain on the taxpayers. I, like you, am tired of the political games, the wasteful spending of our tax dollars, and the lack of transparency currently existing in government. I can no longer ignore this situation, and I believe that the time to act is now. So this day, I am officially announcing I am a candidate for the 2nd District City Council. The voters living in the 2nd District deserve to be represented by someone who realizes that government has lost its way. They deserve someone who believes in conservative values and understands that liberal thinking is detrimental to this community's future, and that government governs best when it governs least. They deserve someone who believes in the sanctity of life, marriage, and sound biblical doctrine. They deserve someone who's willing to challenge the current political system and is capable of making decisions by using common sense with input from the community. On this day, I say to the voters in the 2nd District, I am that someone. Fort Wayne is a great community. It's a great place to live, work, and raise a family. But we need a change in direction. As stakeholders in this community, we can no longer allow complacency and questionable decision-making to continue. Together, we can change this situation and demand responsible government. I realize the task ahead will be difficult, but I have hope. I believe that the residents living in the 2nd District share my frustration and recognize the need for a change in leadership. It is my hope that in 2011, the voters in the 2nd District will send that message to Ms. Goldner and vote for me, Jerome Gaines, a true conservative and a proven leader. In closing, I would like to thank Dick Freeland for donating the food. I'd like to thank the Republican Party for allowing me to speak here today. And truly, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate every one of you. Thank you. I didn't have to say that.
Your decision to run, I'll hang on to this. Your decision to run, tell me about that.
I wanted to run because I feel with my experience on the fire department and having an inside knowledge of the department and how government works, I think I can bring something to the table. And I just don't like the way, I just don't like the things that I see. I don't like the way we're going, and I think not only what we see on a national level, but what we see here locally, there's a lot of things that we can do to fix some of the concerns that I have. The out of control spending, the lack of transparency, and things like that. I just think that we need to be honest with the citizens, and I think we need to consider the fact that we're there to represent them. So
you indicated you don't like the way the district is being represented right now. Kind of tell me about that.
Well, I just don't. I just think that the person that represents the 2nd District now, Ms. Goldner, I just don't think that her political views and beliefs reflect what we believe as conservatives that live in that district. And I think that if you're going to represent people, you have to represent them based on the fact that you share common beliefs.
You had some fairly heavy hitters in the political game here today to represent you at your announcement.
Right.
How big of a boost is that for you to get started?
Well, I mean, it's important because, not because who they are, but the fact that we've had relationships as friends for years, and it's important to me that they're here to support me, and that matters to me. So I look at it that way. I appreciate the fact that they're friends and they're here to support me, regardless of their position.
As of today, and I know there's still some time to file, but as of today, are there any other Republicans that have put their name in?
There was one gentleman, I understand, but I think since that point, I think he's withdrawn at this point. So as far as I know now, I'm the only one.
How do you feel? There's been a lot of talk, over the last 4 years or 3 years, Marty Bender being on city payroll,
right.
And then as well, you're a fireman.
Right.
How would you address that?
Well, personally, I would be conflicted with issues that concern me as a firefighter and how it might benefit me. So the role that I could take is to educate the rest of the council members and maybe give them a little bit more insight on a particular issue and educate them on things that pertain to public safety and fire department. Not necessarily, I'm not there to try to benefit myself or how it's going to benefit me as a firefighter. I'm there to try to serve the citizens. And if that means I have to abstain from a vote, that's something that I'm more than willing to do, because I want to set the right example.
We talked about this before, but there's talk that the legislature will expand right now, government employees, except for public safety, can't run for office. There's a chance that they'll take that up and exclude police and firemen from running for office. Any comment about that as you prepare to run? You would be in front of it, so you'd be grandfathered. But
I've spoken to Senator David Long, and I asked that very question, and he assured me that given the agenda that the state has, the things that they have on their plate, that's probably not a high priority. But if that should happen, then I'm at a point in my career that I could retire. And if I get to that point, or as he indicated to me, that if I'm elected and then that comes to pass, those individuals that are in office will be grandfathered in. But either way, I'm going to be okay.
Very good.
All right, thank you.